Welcome to the OK Den Show. We are so excited to be back with you all again. I am Titia, Owens, the Madre.
And I am Chyna, Elizabeth, the daughter. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Yes, we're so excited to be here. We have a super-tastic young lady sitting here with us today. And boy, does she have a story to tell. And we're so excited to have her here. This is my good friend, my sister in the Lord, and an overcomer to the utmost. Tell them who you are.
Hi everybody, I am Dr. Tonya Stafford Manning, and I'm the founder and CEO of It's Going to Be Okay, but not only am I the founder and CEO, I'm a survivor of human trafficking. Sold at the age of 13 by my mom for drugs in Dallas, Texas, South Dallas. I am from Bunton. The man that bought me kept me for 10 years, and while I was in captivity, I had 3 children. Had them at 3 different hospitals, and nobody said anything or asked anything, and that's because they didn't know what to say. The crack epidemic had hit the 80s, and I was an 88 baby. So back in 88, when the crack epidemic happened, that's when I was sold.
Okay, well, let's go back.
Yeah.
So let's talk about mom for a minute, because we deal with mothers and daughters on this show. So we want to give a little history to your mom. So you were sold at the age of
13.
At 13. And so before turning 13, those years prior to, what was the relationship that you remember with you and your mom?
She was in and out of our life. So I was with my grandmother, Big Mama. So we had a Big Mama, like everybody had a Big Mama, a Mimi and a Mama and all of that. So Big Mama raised us up until 8 years old. And my mom was in and out, so it's not like we didn't know who she was.
Okay.
We knew who she was. We just, we addressed her by her first name because we didn't have a relationship with her. And then she said that she had got herself together. But I remember Big Mama always said, respect her.
We, siblings?
Siblings. I have 4 living siblings.
Okay. What are their ages?
They are, I think, 52. I'm 50.
Okay.
And then I think my sisters are like 48 and 49, if I'm not mistaken.
So
and then I have a deceased brother. He was killed when I was rescued.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
Now, he wasn't killed during the rescue.
No.
Just at
He
the
was
time.
killed after I was rescued 10 years. He said he had been looking for me for 10 years, and then we reconnected. And then like 10 months later, he was killed.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you and your mother, your relationship was somewhat distant. And so when you were sold, let's go back to that day. Do you remember what happened, or did you understand what was happening at the time?
Not really. I just knew when I was raped, and when I told her that I was raped by the guy, and she told me don't say that anymore. Like, don't talk about. So it's like the family secrets in the South Dallas is, you don't say anything, be quiet. What goes on in here stays in here. So I didn't have any contact with the guy after that, and then that's when they found out I was pregnant, because I didn't even know what that was, because I was a virgin at the time when he raped me.
Oh, wow. So
after that, then the sale of me took place during the 13. So he had already came to the projects. He seen who he wanted. He seen who he, the most vulnerable, which knew my mom, got to know what she liked, crack, cocaine, they drank, everything, her and her husband.
Okay.
So after I delivered the baby, I delivered her at Mesquite Community, and I blended in because the teenage pregnancy was so high in the southern sector of Dallas, so I blended in with the teenage pregnancy. So I was able to, be hidden. And so after I delivered, she basically said, hey, you gotta go. Her words were, bitch, you gotta go.
Wow.
And I was like, where am I gonna go? Because I thought I didn't clean up good enough. I thought I didn't cook good enough, because I was primarily their caretakers, the caretaker of them. And she said that I had to go. And my stuff was packed at the door, me and the baby stuff, so I knew it was my stuff because the baby stuff was there too. And she said, you gotta go. He had given her last payment. I had just turned 14.
Wow.
So the sale of me happened at 13. He took possession of me at 14.
So he was paying on you
Yeah.
up until
Just
he was
to have
able
you.
to take you.
Yeah,
Wow.
just until he was, until I delivered, because that really was the plan. The plan he told in court was I was supposed to deliver 10 children. Didn't make it to 10. I was pregnant 5 times. I delivered 3 times.
Wow.
Well, I was pregnant 4 times, delivered 3 times, because I lost a set of twins due to the abuse and the stress of everything.
So why were you supposed to have 10 children?
Because that was the goal. That's what he wanted. He wanted somebody to just produce.
Now, did he have a plan for the children, or was that just something he wanted?
That just was something he wanted. That's what they had discussed.
Oh.
And I was the one that he had chosen.
So after you were sold, though, where was your grandmother in this?
My grandmother had already passed away.
Mm.
So she was older, and then when my mom took us back, she declined. And so she said in a statement that I read from CPS is that she knew that something was going to happen to us, but she didn't know what.
Yeah.
And she just kind of was praying for us.
So did she want to give y'all back to your mom?
No, she didn't want to give us back, but she didn't have any legal right to keep us.
Right.
So that's what the problem was, is there was no legal paperwork for us.
Yeah.
And so we went with my mom. When she got married, her husband started molesting and raping the youngest girl. Yeah. So molesting me and my sister and beating the boys, and then raping the youngest.
Was the husband on drugs as
Yes.
well?
Yeah, everybody was on crack. The crack epidemic hit us really, really hard. So, the sale of me happened during the time that we had just moved into the project. So we were homeless at one time, and then we moved to the projects.
Okay.
And so that's how, he was frequently in the project so that he could see who he was going to get. And he got to asking questions about our family, the family that, we knew of.
Wow.
Okay, so during those years of being taken away and being sold, take us on the journey of what that actually was like. That meant for so many days I stayed here, and then I had to interact with these many people. Like, just give us a complete visual of what that was day to day.
So the first day that I got in the car, because I had no choice, got in the car, I was scared. I was really scared. I was just thinking, like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna do it? Where am I going? Didn't know where I was going. And I was just kind of thinking, like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm crying, and then I kind of took a deep breath and got in the car, and then he slapped me. And he said, if you don't like that, and I didn't like that because that's what my mom did to me. And so, because she was abusive to me as well, during my pregnancy and after my pregnancy. So it was something I endured with her. So I didn't like being hit. So I told him he didn't have to do that. I'll do whatever he told me to do. So the first place that I was taken to was a house that he and his grandmother had on Bradshaw Street. And Chyna 8 kind of walked through my story. If people go search it out, it's on our websites and stuff. But that was the first house that I went to. And then the second house, well, I stayed there for probably over a year, about a year and a half. And then I became pregnant with the second child.
Now, his grandmother?
Right, was she in on this?
I don't know, but I know she wanted, she was helping with the baby, which was a girl. And they wanted the baby at first without me. But my mama told them no. I had to go with the baby. And, that's what the plan was. And so they wanted the babies. They didn't necessarily want me. They wanted the babies. So I was like producing babies.
Yeah.
And so I went to the first house, and she wasn't mean to me or anything. I didn't talk to her.
Okay.
And she didn't like that, but I didn't know what to say to her because I just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
But I couldn't go home because my mom had already changed her number after she sold me. I called her and I was begging to come home because I remember numbers by heart. My grandmother's, hers, everybody, in the neighborhood. And she was like, bitch, don't call me anymore. And I never heard from her again. So The second house was we moved down the street from his grandmother, because she was kind of protecting me in a way, and to the second pregnancy, and it was a boy. So I didn't even know what I was having. I just knew, what the kids were. I just don't ask me how. I just knew that my kids were boys and girls, and she wanted the boy. She wanted another boy,
Oh, wow.
and I delivered a boy. I was going to Lincoln High School at the time. He took me out and he said it would be too dangerous. People get to ask me too many questions. So we moved to the second house. I delivered at that house. I had him at Parkland.
Okay.
And I was gonna tell it, and the medical person, the doctor said, "Hey, what are you doing having all these kids?" So I knew not to say anything, because I was like, if I tell him, he's gonna tell him, and then he's gonna beat the hell out of me when I get home, because he takes me immediately out the hospital. And I said, well, I'll just, endure it. But he made all the medical decisions. He basically told them I couldn't have any anesthesia, I couldn't have anything, so I delivered them all naturally.
Oh, wow.
And I was pregnant with the third one not too long after I delivered him, and then I delivered him at Baylor. So I got pregnant, because that was the plan, keep me pregnant. And I got pregnant immediately after that. No time to heal, no nothing, just, bam, bam, bam. And so I had him at Baylor. And the same thing happened, delivered, and, no anesthesia, no nothing. Got up and walked out. Just got up and walked out.
Wow, that is just,
Yeah.
oh, it's
Yeah.
making my heart just really sad, because I just can't imagine your age, being that young and enduring becoming a mother at such an early age, and then being forced to submit to having children, and then the abuse that went along with
The
that.
abuse that went along with it. Not just abuse in the home, but there was a lot of things that changed during that transition, because after that house, we went to another house that was in Pleasant Grove. So he moved us to Pleasant Grove. And during that time, it was in a neighborhood that looks just like this, your neighborhood. It was really nice and big house. And we blended in. Blended in, so you don't ask a lot of questions. Everybody mind their own business. And I was just wondering if anybody would ever find me or see me, because I heard for 10 years that I could kill you and get away with it. And he was right, because nobody was looking for me. So he was actually right. He could kill me, and he said, I'll bury you in the backyard, and I'll tell him you ran off with somebody else.
Wow.
And so I was just like, okay, I just did what I was told to do. And then he started taking us to church.
But when he would say those things to you, and I understood you believed him, did it cause you to live in fear though? What did it do to you mentally hearing that?
Just do what I was told to do.
Okay.
I've always had, because my big mama, my foundation was my big mama, so I always had a strong mind.
Okay.
So that wasn't a problem, because she always said they can have your body, but they can't have your mind. But if they get in here, then you have nothing. So I always protected my mind and guarded my mind. So I heard what he was saying. I believed what he said, but I basically didn't allow it to just break me down. So that's something that she had taught me. It's you got to be strong minded. You have to be. Don't let anybody get in here. If they get in here, then they have everything. So that's what I was trained. It's no, he said things, he did things to me, he raped me repeatedly. That didn't bother me. It was basically this right here. I never cried in front of him, and frankly, I was cried out. So I was cried out, I was immune to pain, because I went through so much pain. And childbirth, the only thing that really scared me was childbirth. So the pain, and that was the only thing that I feared was childbirth. I didn't fear whatever he was doing to me and how he was doing to me. It was that childbirth was so traumatic for me, and I just didn't know how to really cope with that. But then I would start singing in my head and just, just saying things. And that's what got me through childbirth, because that's, even to this day, even people being pregnant and different things like that, it's a wonderful thing. But childbirth is, I think about about the birth of it, and it's like, oh, it makes me cringe.
Yeah, the pain of it. And so you were saying that he was starting to take you out of church.
Yeah, that was one of the dynamics that changed over the course of the 10 years. Is he had started taking us to this church in Pleasant Grove, and I knew it was cultic. And I was just like, Lord, I didn't know how this was going to turn out, but I know that I hated it. And I hated them church folks, because it's the difference between church folks and God folks. And I just say them church folks is some mess, honey. That's all I could say was.
What did they know, or what did you feel they knew?
They knew that I had been sold because I told them. And I told the first lady because I thought that I could trust her. She told it on me, and I got beat. But she was like, don't say that anymore. And so he told her the story of, he did buy me, so it was all admitted. And she said, well, you should be glad somebody bought you, because if he didn't buy you, then somebody else would have been worse for you. So that's why I hated church folk. That's why I hated church folk. And I despised church folk, her husband, everybody that was in there. I hated them folks. And I was always dripped in oil, because they thought I was just of witchcraft. And I was always drenched in oil. They was always praying for me and laying hands on me. It's why I don't believe in, to this day, you don't lay no sudden hand on anybody. It's because everybody is not praying for you in the right way. So that's what that taught me. And to know the difference between church folks and God folks. That's what that taught me.
Well, church folk and Christians, believers, followers of Christ, not even just Christians, but followers of Christ. Because again, there are a lot of people that go to church that really are not followers of Christ.
Yeah, they're church folk. Yeah, they're church folk. It's church folks and God folks.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they God folks are the ones that restore my hope in people.
Okay.
They were the ones that came along after I was rescued. To restore my hope.
Rescue. So do you want to jump to rescue, or do you want to tell me any more in that process before you were rescued?
The process before I was rescued was a lot. Like, he had been going to the church telling me he was going to kill me, how he was going to kill me.
He was telling them?
Wow. He was telling them. They were telling me what he was saying.
Okay.
And one of the ladies, she's actually a follower of mine, and she basically was the one that really had the concern. So I told her, like, if anything ever happened to me, here's my neighbor's number. Because I didn't have cell phone, I didn't have anything.
Right.
I will remember numbers by heart.
Yeah.
So my neighbor that helped me, she made me remember her number by heart. So I gave it to the lady. And the lady called her and said, he's going to kill her today.
Oh, wow.
Because he said that he just can't get the thoughts out of his head. And that day it was chaotic. It was very, very chaotic. I remember there was a lot of screaming going on. My kids were screaming. It was just a lot. It was so chaotic. And I just wanted the noise to stop, because it was just so much noise. And I said, okay, I just want the noise to stop. And he was getting angrier and angrier, and I was just like, okay, I got to get out, because our sign was, if it gets really bad, you throw something out the window or you come out the window, because the houses was just that close. So the Attorney General did my story Be the One, and you could see where our houses were and different things like that. And I remember that day, like it was yesterday, I was trying to go out the window because I really didn't want to leave my kids.
Yeah.
Because I always told my neighbor, if something happened to me, I could lock them in the back room and just get them. Just don't let nobody else have my kids. Like, I didn't trust anybody else.
How many did you have at this point?
3.
Okay.
3.
Okay.
And they were my reasons for living and breathing. They were my everything. So I said I would survive for them. And so she was like, just come out. Let's come out. And I was just like, I don't want to leave my kids. And he heard me going out the window, and he kicked the door in, and he threw me back into the hallway. And I remember hitting the wall. That's all I remember, is hitting the wall. And I just was like, this is not going to be good. And I could hear my sons, I could hear my daughter, they were screaming. They were right at my legs. And I was just like, okay, just let me go put them up, and then I'll come back. I'm bargaining now. this is what I learned through therapy is I was bargaining for my life. Is let me go, their life, because I didn't know what he would do at that point. He never abused them, but I just remember saying, just let me go put them up and I'll come back and I'll let you kill me. And he was like, no, not gonna happen. I'm just gonna go and kill you. And I remember just blacking out. That's all I remember. And I remember waking up to my neighbor calling my name. And she was just saying, Tonya, Tonya.
So you blacked out, why?
Because he had choked me on, he choked me unconscious.
Okay.
So that was he said that he was gonna choke me to death.
So he thought did he think that
He killed me.
Okay.
Because when he dropped me, I guess I wasn't moving, but I could still subconsciously hear my kids.
Okay.
But I woke up to her calling my name and telling me today I didn't get to die.
Oh wow.
And I opened my eyes and she was crying. That was the first time I seen her cry. All those years, that was the first time I seen her cry. It took years to get me out because you can't just snatch somebody out.
Of course.
It takes planning. It takes a lot of time. Or we'll do this. I needed their birth certificates. I needed socials. I needed ID. I needed things that I need. She helped me get a GED. So it's so much stuff that she was doing while I was there, and he didn't know it.
So this was planning before you got out of this
Before I was almost killed. Yes.
Okay. So how were you all communicating at all, or this was just something she knew to do? How did she?
No, she had heard a beating one night.
Okay.
But she never stopped speaking.
Okay.
I never would speak to her because I was told don't speak to nobody, don't look at nobody. So I didn't. He did all the talking.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, But she was every day because I thought she was crazy. She would speak to me. And I wouldn't speak back. But she, every day, same time. And she could tell you to this day, it was the same time exactly. Every day she spoke to me. And that day I couldn't walk because I forgot to take out the trash. So he beat me real bad. And she had told me, she said, I was taking out the trash the next morning. And she said, are you okay? Are you okay? Good morning. Are you okay? And I was just looking at her. And I was like, this is now or never. That's all I could. I said, well, she tell it, but at least I told somebody.
Yeah.
And I told everything. I was just like, let me just tell you everything. She's like, well, how long have you been there? And I was like, well, what year is it? And she was like, I said, so I've probably been here like a little bit, about 10 years now. And she was like, well, how old are you? And I told her, so how old is he? Where's your mom? I said, she once told me. So she's asking all these questions. She said, I can help you. And then I thought she was really crazy.
Oh wow.
I was like, you crazy? That woman is crazy. And she was like, no, I can help you. And she didn't know she worked for Parkland Hospital System for 26 years.
Okay.
So she knew what to do.
Understood this whole process.
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't know.
So this is what I need to know. All this time that you're going through this, and I'm hearing different things that you're using to cope with your thought processes. Was the Lord ever introduced to you? Did you ever think at this point to pray, or did that not come into play at this point? Like, when did that happen, or was there ever a time?
I always knew to believe in God.
Okay, and that's what I'm at. How did you know?
Because my grandmother gave me the foundation.
Okay.
My grandmother gave me the foundation. I never lost the foundation.
Okay.
I just lost hope in people.
Got it.
It's because people showed me who they were.
Gotcha.
And I believed them. Because that's what she always said before it became a meme, is when people show you who they are, you believe them.
Okay.
And that's something that I always believe. I knew that wasn't right. I knew the church wasn't right. I knew the people weren't right. I knew that the church was the building.
Yeah.
And the people that's in the building is the church. So I knew that. So I knew what I knew.
Yeah.
But I never stopped believing. I didn't believe in people.
Okay.
I just believed in God. I knew that God was within me, and I knew that I could survive this. I had to protect my mind. So when my coping mechanism was, I watched a lot of TV. I watched The Cosby Show. I watched, Family Matters. I watched all these shows with families, black families that I seen. I was like, oh, I can have a family like that one day, maybe. So I fantasized about that, which kept me sane. So when I wasn't teaching my children, I was, thinking about a family, and maybe, this could happen to me one day. So it's not that I never believed. It's just, I just didn't believe in people.